And welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have three storylines we're keeping an eye on for this week: severe weather, extreme heat, and the tropics moving forward in this video. We'll get to all those storylines throughout the video. But if you are not a new subscriber to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below for daily content, including North America, Southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. And it's very important to press the thumbs up button as it helps to get all of this information out to as many people as possible. So help me out and I helping get all this information out, and I really do appreciate it. So looking currently at our heat headlines across the United States, and you notice an absence of excessive heat warnings and heat advisories across North Texas and much of Dixie Alley here. We only have those heat advisories and excessive heat warnings across portions of the coastal Gulf Coast here. That's where we see more of the extreme heat continuing, and for the Pacific Northwest as well, from Washington State down through Oregon, California, Idaho, and western Montana as of today. And the reason for that is, look at that, guys. We have that cold front that has dropped all the way down into south central Texas, all the way down just about to the coast there of Louisiana, and all the way down into the southeast. And that's bringing some more cooler temperatures down into portions of the deep south and the southern plains. Now, it's not cold temperatures by any means. We have temperatures into the 80s, 90s down here. Nice welcome sight to see a high temperature today in Dallas, Fort Worth of 95, 93 in Shreveport, middle 80s from Tulsa all the way over here into the Oklahoma City area, 84 to 86 degrees respectively. But it is hot across the Pacific Northwest, 100-degree temperatures or warmer up here into Washington State, Oregon, the Sacramento Valley here, into portions of California, Idaho, and even into Montana today. But now we are talking about some storm activity. We have a slight risk of severe weather here from New Jersey, the Philadelphia, Baltimore region, down through the Delmarva here and into North Carolina. So Washington, D.C., Richmond, Norfolk, down to the Greensboro region, Raleigh there into North Carolina. We're watching out for some scattered severe thunderstorms later on today, and we do have some concern for at least a couple of tornadoes from the Norfolk region up through the DC area, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and then through New York City, getting up through Hartford and even in toward the Providence region and up toward Buffalo, New York as well. We'll continue to watch out for a couple spin up tornadoes through the day today. Getting into this afternoon, this is what the radar could look like. Scattered thunderstorms are possible. Not everybody will see severe weather, and not everybody will see a thunderstorm. That's just the reality this afternoon. But if you get under one of those stronger cells, damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, some quarter to $half size hail, and a couple tornado spin-ups will be possible here, as these cells will remain more discrete and semi-discrete through this afternoon. Then they'll push their way off here from west to east across the coast here and off into the western Atlantic, getting into this evening, and that will put an end to the severe weather threat for the East Coast today. As we go into the middle of the week, we have a new storm system we're keeping an eye on. A deep trough up here into portions of the southern Canadian prairies will be more of a positive tilt on Wednesday, taking more of a negative tilt by Thursday as it crosses into the central Great Lakes region and then off into the portions of the northeast and southeastern Canada by the end of the week on Friday, August 18th. What this will bring is a cold front sweeping down across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast, and that could threaten us with some severe weather here from portions of eastern Minnesota into northwest Wisconsin, into the Duluth region, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and down toward the La Crosse region in Wisconsin as well. Not a widespread severe weather outbreak on Wednesday tomorrow, but a couple storms that could produce damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail, and a couple spin-up tornadoes. Then that all shifts across the Great Lakes on Thursday. A marginal risk here from the Gaylord, Michigan area down through Grand Rapids, Detroit, and the Cleveland area getting close as well, with that marginal threat for some storms, some gusty winds, some smaller hail, and a brief tornado spin up not ruled out there on Thursday. And then that all shifts to the east on Friday. Here's the total rainfall accumulation today through next Tuesday on August 22nd. And you notice the heaviest of the rains will be up here into southern Canada, Alberta, over here to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and down into Quebec, Canada, and then around the Great Lakes region and into the northeast here, especially upstate New York. York through Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. A couple inches of rain for you. Still continuously seeing the tropical rains down here into Florida and coastal Carolinas, with a few more inches on the way there, possibly up to half a foot of rain for the Keys down here toward portions of the Fort Myers, Naples region, down towards portions of the Miami area. Watching out for several inches of rain over the next few days, and some tropical moisture from the eastern Pacific launching up and into southern California, southern Nevada, into the western Four Corners region. That could get us active across the western areas going through next week. But you notice the hole in the middle, and we're going to talk about that right now. Not much rain expected across the Great Plains, the Midwest, or the Tennessee Valley, and that's because we're going to be in the extreme heat. So as we go through tomorrow, this is the weather pattern. The high pressure ridge is across the Four Corners region and the desert Southwest. That's going to come charging east by Friday across the southern plains. So we are going to heat back up again across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and vicinity. And that means if you do like these cooler temperatures, don't get used to them, because the heat is coming back here for the southern plains by late this week. And then by this weekend, that heat will only expand further to the north and east here on Saturday, August 19th and Sunday, August 20th, and that will include more of the Midwest, the western Ohio Valley, and the Tennessee Valley as we go through this weekend. So looking at those temperatures as we go through the day tomorrow on Wednesday, August 16th, we welcome back the triple digits here into the Lone Star State in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and possibly as far north as Nebraska and South Dakota with those triple digits on Wednesday. As we go to late week on Friday, we have more of the extreme heat coming back. Remember, the center of that high pressure system will be charging back east into the central and southern plains. We're up to 110 there in Wichita Falls, approaching 110 at 109 in Dallas-Fort Worth, 100 in Oklahoma City there, and into Amarillo as we go into that Friday time frame. And then once we get into Saturday to start off the weekend, yeah, more triple digits, not just for Texas, but for Oklahoma, for Kansas, for Nebraska, even portions of southern South Dakota, and even some mid-90s all the way up into the Minneapolis, St. Paul, 90 degrees up there toward Duluth as we go into Saturday. And then going into Sunday, that just intensifies even further. More triple-digit heat up here into the Des Moines region, Omaha, getting into Cedar Rapids, 97 in Minneapolis there, 93 in the Rockford, Illinois region, 91 from Green Bay all the way down the lakefront there to Milwaukee and Chicago. So it's going to be hot going through this upcoming weekend, so make sure to prepare for that. Make sure to stay hydrated here, and if you work outside, to make sure to take frequent breaks to alleviate yourself from this extreme heat. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. This is the Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day temperature outlook going all the way through next week through August 24th, likely above average temperatures for areas east of the Rockies, especially across the Great Plains into the deep south. And then we have below normal temperatures favored with some tropical weather moving in, some tropical moisture for portions of the desert Southwest with all that rainfall over there going through the long-term period. And speaking of the rainfall out there, we're going to see a pattern flip. So with the high pressure across the east, we're going to see a lot of below normal precipitation, and that's going to shut off the valve for all the rainfall we've been seeing, and we're going to open up the valve across the west with more active weather here, getting into not only Southern California and Western Arizona, but much of the state of Nevada, getting into Utah, getting into Oregon, Idaho, and then over the top through Montana and even the Dakotas as we go through that long-term period. And you can see that here evident on the mid-level jet stream map. This is the 500 millibar mid-level jet stream here, a few thousand feet above your head this weekend. And you can see that that jet stream lifts up here with the trough across the west and up and over top of that ridge into southern and southeastern Canada. That's where the active storm track will be So if you live in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, or even Quebec, Canada, yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of rain and active weather going through this weekend, off and on, and then into early next week. That jet stream continuously is further to the north as that high pressure ridge really starts to settle in across the middle of the country, really centered on the Corn Belt into early next week. And you can see that also evident here on the ensemble guidance. All the wet weather will be out west, the dry weather across the east and across southern Canada. It will be turning more active this weekend and into early next week. Turning to the tropical weather update, we're keeping an eye on the central Pacific as we have Tropical Storm Greg here moving south of the Hawaiian Islands as we speak. This will remain a tropical storm through late week on Thursday and then drop back to tropical depression status as it moves to the southwest there of Hawaii. We're also keeping an eye on Hurricane Fernanda. That's a 110 mile per hour hurricane moving west-northwest right now at 12 miles per hour. It's going to maintain hurricane status through at least this evening or early tomorrow morning, and then slowly drop back toward tropical depression status going through late week and into this weekend as it approaches the big island there in Hawaii. We'll keep an eye on Fernanda, but then it's also active in the eastern Pacific. So we have a 90% chance of development just to the southwest of the Mexican coast here over the open waters of the eastern Pacific Ocean. You can see all this conglomerate of convection starting to develop here, and this is going to organize into a big system. So let's look at this here from the European model. This is tomorrow, developing a 1004 millibar low just off the coast of Mexico there over the open waters of the eastern Pacific, rapidly develops as it moves to the northwest. Remember, these water temperatures in the eastern Pacific are very warm, so we're going to rapidly deepen this low pressure system to a 991 here by Friday, and then to a 989 according to the European model off of the Baja of California, just to the west there as we go into Sunday, August 20th. Now, in comparison, the GFS, the American guidance, is a little bit more of a 1,000 millibar low here, a little closer to the coast there on Wednesday, takes it a lot stronger to a 958 millibar major hurricane by Friday, and then major hurricane crashing in here to the west coast of the Baja of California, a little bit closer with more major impacts here on the GFS model as we go into that Sunday time frame. And just looking at the Canadian guidance, the CMC actually is in the same boat with at least a low-end hurricane moving in there toward the Baja. So if you live in the Baja of California, I want you to prepare now for potentially a major hurricane heading your way as we go through later on this upcoming weekend. And then turning to the North Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf, there's two areas of interest here across the MDR. This is the main development region east of the Lesser Antilles. The first area really doesn't have much of a chance. It's down to a 10% here. A lot of shear still disrupting this. I think this first wave is probably not going to happen too much. The second wave is more intriguing as it comes off Africa, has a lot more legs with it, has a 30% chance of development, but this is more oriented to the northwest. So this is looking more likely to become a fish storm with time. And you can see the North Atlantic Ocean here, a more robust signature of convection moving off of Africa than the first one. So it has a lot more legs with it, and it's going to be pushing more to the northwest over the next week. And looking at the Climate Prediction Center's outlook, this goes right with their thinking. From August 16th tomorrow through August 22nd, the favorability is starting to show up in the main development region for tropical entities to become more likely to develop. And that even becomes a little more concerning as we get into the last week in August, from the 23rd through the 29th time frame, as that pushes a little bit closer in toward the western and central North Atlantic. So we'll continue to watch that as well. Just looking at the European ensemble guidance here, the EPS, it is showing more of a stretched out wave here with more shear with the first system. That's more of a 10% chance, probably not going to happen too much. Maybe some heavier rains as this gets closer there to the Lesser Antilles, but I'm not expecting much with this. More robust is the wave behind it that's moving off of Africa. By Friday, August 18th, this week, it's going to be pushing off the coast into the main development region, the MDR, and then it's going to be moving northwestbound as a fish storm across the central North Atlantic. So we're going to be watching that as we go into early next week on Tuesday. Similarly is the GEFS ensemble guidance. This is the American guidance, and it does show another robust wave moving off of Africa, the one that is over Africa right now, and that's pushing off into the MDR region on Friday and then moving off to the northwest as well as a fish storm. And that's because the high pressure system is steering the flow out here. It's all the way up in the Northeast Pacific, or the Northeast Atlantic rather, and that's going to start to steer this system as a fish storm mostly out here into the open waters of the Atlantic. But we will continue to watch it because it is becoming more favorable in the main development region and into the Eastern Caribbean, the Western Atlantic with time into late August. After this period for more systems to come off Africa. You can see it starting to develop here, so we'll continue to watch that. Climatologically, we are climbing the ladder toward the active period, the most active period for the Atlantic hurricane season. Now, we have some time to go, but once we get into early September, we're really going to be toward the peak here, and then we're going to stay toward the peak all the way through the month of September. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the Atlantic hurricane season as we know it, and I'll keep you updated. If you want additional weather forecast updates here, including this video, hit the description down below the video and follow me on X at hweather420. I do update on that platform very frequently throughout the week. Otherwise, thank you for watching today's weather forecast. Make sure if you're not a subscriber to subscribe down below. You get daily updates on North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. Make sure to press the thumbs up button, the like button down below. It helps me get all this weather information out to as many people as possible. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their Tuesday out there.